Okay, up next we have Emily Hogarty. Emily isn't a stranger to Queen's either. She just recently graduated in bioinformatics. Emily is here today to talk about her journey, or accidental journey, into intelligent automation. So everyone, welcome Emily.
Hello, sorry, I'm just going to set myself a quick timer so I don't go a bit off course. The clicker, let me just check again. Okay, perfect. So my name is Emily and I'm a tech consultant in EY on the intelligent automation team. So before I dive in, I just wanted to talk a bit about myself, just because I'm quite new to tech, so I was hoping that it might relate to other people. So I started studying science in Trinity College Dublin in 2017. So it's structured as a 2-year or 4-year course. So 2 years of general science, and then I did 2 years majoring in biochemistry. And I have written on the slide here that I developed an interest in cancer research, but to be honest, I was a bit obsessed, really. Like, if you've ever met a cancer researcher, we're all convinced really egotistically that as an individual, we are going to cure cancer and win a Nobel Prize. So that's what I thought I was going to do with the rest of my life. So I started applying for PhDs and unfortunately didn't get into one. So I kind of found myself scrambling for things to do. And that's when I discovered bioinformatics. So what bioinformatics is essentially just data science for biology. So it's kind of leveraging, big data, AI, machine learning to solve like really big biological questions like curing cancer. So I moved to Belfast, started studying in Queen's, and at this point I was what I'd call a technophobe. The little paperclip that helps you on Microsoft Office, that guy used to pay rent on my computer because I was just constantly stuck. And in the space of a year, I learned how to code, learned how to use a computer. The paperclip sometimes still comes up, but most of the time he's not there anymore. And by last summer, I was using machine learning to optimize breast cancer treatment. So big step up in the space of a year. And although I really, really enjoyed it, at the same time, I kind of realized a life in research is not for me. If anybody here is from an academic background, you know it's really, really high pressure. And like the average person, I didn't really work well under very high pressure for a long time. So after a lot of crying, a few breakdowns about what am I going to do with the rest of my life, I just started applying for some graduate roles and started in September in EY. Okay, so onto the technical side, intelligent automation. So to understand what intelligent automation is, you need to understand what RPA is. So RPA is Robotic Process Automation, which is essentially just a less intelligent cousin. So RPA is essentially a software that sits on your computer and does things that you don't want to do, like really manual, repetitive tasks. It runs in the background, but if you ever watch it in test mode, it literally looks like a ghost using your mouse and your keyboard, and it's really cool when you do it for the first time. And again, it's really good for just anything like data entry, like really just manual, annoying, moving data from Excel to a PDF, those sort of things that nobody likes doing. It will do it for you. So essentially just a really friendly ghost that does work for you that you don't want to do, so you have time to do more rewarding, creative, interesting things in work. And then intelligent automation is just a more intelligent ghost that uses AI. So RPA is a bit more like by the book, you have to tell it exactly what to do, whereas intelligent automation can extract information from scanned documents. It's chatbots, a bit more exciting, intelligent, a bit cooler. So when we're doing automation, you have two kinds of automation. So you have your citizen developers, like anybody in the audience that is now getting interested in automation. You can kind of go off, maybe learn something really simple, do it for yourself, just so it frees up a bit of time in your own calendar. Or we have when we go into a company and we start automating. So we do like large-scale automation projects, but really we're just automating a process one by one, because that's all you can do, just one by one. And what we find is either we have people in companies that they're the one person responsible, or maybe two people are responsible for one process. And it, maybe once a month they have to process invoices and it ruins them. Like you're talking to people and they're going, oh, I was up until 12 o'clock last night doing this process. Please, please, please automate it for me so I don't have to do it anymore. Or in the other case, you have a team that are handling a lot of data and we can automate the process, and we get a bot to sit in with them, and it's nearly like a staff member. So the bot might do like 30% of the cases, and it will run 9 to 5, and then at the end of the day, the team lead will check on it like a manager. And sometimes they're happy with it, just to take up like a few cases, just so it takes pressure off the staff. And then other times you can scale it up if they're happy with it, and then we can take all that off the team, and they have time to do more rewarding things. So what kind of things are we automating? So starting on an individual level, I find, especially as a graduate, most people are either one of two people in their office. You're either the person that has to send out emails reminders, so that, hello, you haven't done your timesheet, or the, hello, can you please respond to this Teams invite so we get an idea of the figures? Or you're the person that gets an email from your manager that says, yeah, I'm about to go into a meeting. Do you think you could pull together some stats on the sales? And can you get this done in half an hour? The meeting's in half an hour. And it's really stressful being either of those people. So for mailing, you can build really simple flows. So most of the automation platforms now, you can literally, it has a plugin that says, go into your email. Here's the email address. Here's the subject line. Here's the body of the email. You can put in variables so it knows to change names. So it's not saying hello user, it's going hello Emily. Do you know, that sort of thing? And that will run for you in the background, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. Or for reporting, because I'm a reporting person, not technically automation, but a dashboard, a Power BI dashboard. If you're a person that has to make reports and nice slides on stats, people will think you're really proactive when you suggest making a Power BI dashboard, but it's actually just taking a lot of time off your own hands, and it's really helpful. Then when we start kind of scaling up and moving into whole departments, when we're working with companies, think back office, like any team that's doing like really manual data entry. So two of the hotspots we find is finance and HR, because both of those are like transferring a lot of data, processing invoices, issuing bills, doing pay slips, that sort of thing. So recently we actually built a bot for a finance team. And what it essentially did was each month, this team had to gather reports from all the other departments and then put it into a master Excel. So what we could do was we could build a bot that would download the files, put all the information together, but then it could also go in, see who hasn't sent over the report yet, send them a little friendly reminder that says, hello, please send it over, we're waiting, we have a timeline. And then it could go in once it had all been collated and look at this month's quarter versus last month's and flag the ones and say like revenue's down. So it's quite intelligent. And then lastly, we can use automation to improve an entire company's reputation, and we do this through customer service. So for this, chatbots would be a very, very fancy version, but other examples would be like, do you ever go into a website and instead of having to ring someone now, you can just fill in a form? Banks have started doing it now. You can just fill information in and open a bank account. You don't have to go anywhere, and it's really, really handy. So that's some sort of automation software that's running in the background. So recently we built, it's a demo, it's not actually working, just disclaimer before I say anything, a demo of a chatbot that would work in a bank. So what you can do is you can go online, you can open up the chatbot, you can say, hello, this is my details, and it would verify it, and it would go into your bank account, and then you would say, I want to change my billing address, I've just moved house, or I want to change my phone number, or my wallet's been stolen, I want to cancel my cards. Like simple little things like that that mean that you don't have to wait on hold, you don't have to get into a queue, you can just get your problems resolved and then go about having a really bad day because your wallet's just been stolen. Okay, so before I leave, I just wanted to share with you some of my really important learning resources that I've found, especially just getting off my feet for the first 6 months in tech, and also just learning about RPA and intelligent automation and how to work it. So when I first started, I hadn't a clue what RPA was. I thought I was going to be building like manufacturing arms. Like, has anybody seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? When he loses his job to the robot that screws on? I thought that's what we were going to be doing. And I was like, but Charlie's dad, I don't want to steal his job. But that's not what I was doing. So when I joined my first project, right, I had to take over from a manager. And I remember going, I've been here 3 weeks. Are you sure you want to do this? He went on holidays for 2 weeks and he left me on my own as I work as a business analyst. So as Aaliyah was talking about earlier, I'm kind of like the middle person for RPA projects, right? And I had 1 week to shadow him, and I spent that entire week like learning the processes, learning who the client was, like who's the IT person, who owns the processes, what are the processes doing, what do I do if I get stuck, right? And then when he left, I was like, okay, I actually don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I didn't actually know what my job was. I didn't know how a project worked. So UiPath is it's an automation platform, and they have a really nice learning platform called UiPath Academy, right? So I went on and I learned every single thing about my job that I could in theory. Like, what is an RPA business analyst? What is the implementation methodology? Like, it follows like a software development project. So it goes like documentation, development, test, hypercare, deployment. Didn't know that, to be honest. It was very exciting when I learned about it, but didn't know. So then I learned all this, came in on Monday morning, and I was like, right, ready to go. And I was on a stand-up with the developers, and they started talking, and I was like, oh my God, still don't know my job. Because, again, as Aaliyah said, and a really important part of being a business analyst is being a translator. And it's very hard to be a translator when you don't speak the language that they're talking about. So then I went online, and I went to Blue Prism Academy. So this is another automation platform, and they, again, have a really, really nice training platform. So I did a development foundation course. I learned how to build simple flows. I learned how to teach a robot to interact with systems on your computer, loops, conditions. And after that, I was like, okay, now I know what I'm doing. So then after that, I could do my job, kind of. Okay. So then I found I could do what my job was. But when other people started talking, I was like, oh my God, please stop. Just stop talking to me. Because again, not from a tech background. So sometimes you're like, oh, what's your job? And people are like, oh, I work in .NET and I do Java and HTML. And I'm like, oh my God. So EY Badges is a really, really nice internal learning platform that we have. And it's basically like 15-hour crash courses on there's like 250 different subjects. Like you can do innovation, well-being, quantum computing, just anything, right? So this is where I discovered Udemy crash courses. So the EY badges, some of them are internal, some of them are made up of like just Udemy crash courses, right? And I discovered the Power BI crash course. There's also an equivalent on YouTube. If anybody's like looking for something new to learn, or you're a bit like between projects, learn Power BI, because people that don't know how Power BI works thinks it's like the best thing ever. And it's actually just like dragging and dropping columns and then making it look nice like PowerPoint. But when you show it to people, they're like, oh. And then you're like, yeah, and you can filter it. It's live. And they're like, oh my God. And they get really excited. So definitely do it. And again, people will think you're really proactive and really good at your job, but you're actually just, you don't have to make a PowerPoint slide on stats every week. For anybody that's interested in maybe just doing a bit of development work yourself, like for automation, I would definitely recommend doing the Power Automate course. I am a bit biased on this one. I just really, really like it. It's the one I most recently learned, and it's the newest, so it's the best at the minute. And Microsoft own so many things, so it works really nicely with so many different things. And the MS Learn website has a really, really nice like foundation course where you can just learn it. But Power Automate also has, it's like a button where you just go record. You do your job, and then it just automates it for you. So it's automated automation. So stealing my job too, but anyway, but it's great. And then now that I'm kind of, have a few tools in my belt, working as an actual person, I know what my job is. I can do a few things. My most important learning resource is strangers on the internet. I hope other people can agree. So most of the time, I don't make it through not a day, maybe, not a whole week, without someone asking me to do something, and I go, oh, okay, sure. And then I go into YouTube, and I look up a tutorial, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do it now, But last week, it was pivot tables on Excel. Most people are probably like, yeah, that's really easy. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do that now. And then was literally on YouTube, like, sorry, don't talk to me, I'm watching a YouTube tutorial while I'm doing this, leave me alone. And then, like all good developers, because my dad's a software developer, and he told me he does the exact same thing. You get stuck, you don't know how to solve something, because no good developer is doing anything on their own or from scratch. You just Google your problem. And then you hope that someone else has had the exact same problem, and some very kind stranger has put the entire solution in some sort of web form. If you're lucky, it will be on something respectable like Stack Overflow. But I actually end up a lot of the time being like, oh God, I really hope I don't get flagged for being on Reddit on my work computer for 2 hours. But it works. So that is all from me. I hope I maybe piqued some interest in automation or just made people feel better about their jobs in tech and that they're more experienced than me. So thank you very much for listening.